Hey, what's up, everybody? It's the Liberal Loudmouth. So today's video is about Deborah Gist. Deborah Gist, if you don't know, she was the superintendent of Tulsa Public Schools until yesterday. You see, yesterday she resigned because Ryan Walters is an asshole. What he did was blame Deborah Gist for this faltering proficiency scores, right? And I mean, he has a point. While she was in office from 2015 until yesterday, yeah, the scores went down. But if you look at the chart, the state's scores went down in a mirrored fashion, literally in the same way. And you wonder, wow, so Tulsa Public Schools dropped like a rock. Oklahoma, on average, dropped like a rock. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. Because Oklahomans, the Republicans in Oklahomans, they don't like to pay for education. And I think they're trying to break the education system so that they can shove charter schools and charter management schools and for-profit schools and Christian schools down everyone's throat. They're going to break it and then turn around and say, look, the government can't do anything. It's broken. Yeah, it's broken because, you broke it. But don't try telling them that, because they'll be like, no, it's because of the woke lesbian agenda. It's all these crazy leftists. They've taken over everything, even though we run the whole state. That's who it is. That's what they want you to believe. But what's interesting is that they're actually pushing out somebody who is simpatico with them. You see, Democrats, oddly enough, have surrounded themselves around Deborah Gist and are holding her up like she's some kind of a martyr, like Ryan Walters was such a meanie head to her, and it's just terrible, and we love Deborah Gist. We just love Deborah Gist, which is weird because she is the antithesis of everything that the Democratic platform stands for in terms of how to educate children. If you don't believe me, stick around. I'm going to explain to you how that happened. You see, every time the Deborah Gist has left an administrative position, I don't know about her time as a teacher. There was like 8 years, I think she was a teacher. But every administrative position she left, there was controversy. When she left D.C., there was controversy. When she left Rhode Island as the education commissioner, which is essentially their superintendent, there was controversy. When she arrived at Tulsa Public Schools, controversy.
And as we look at this, we're paying this lady, Dr. Gist, $1.2 million. $1.2 million. And she's not even certified to be a superintendent.
And now that she's leaving, well, wouldn't you believe it? More controversy. So why did people in Rhode Island hate Deborah Gist? Well, let's go back a little bit. You see, Deborah Gist and Jeb Bush, I guess, were pretty good friends because they started a foundation called Chiefs for Change. And this foundation actually pushes standardized testing and charter schools and charter management companies to run those charter schools. Deborah Gist, the person that these Democrats are holding up as this savior that was just destroyed by the big bad meanie head Ryan Walters. Yes, standardized testing and charter schools. And she didn't just believe it. She tried to put it in action. When she was in Rhode Island, she did things like fire the entire teaching staff at a school because, no, it wasn't the superintendent's fault that the school was failing. It wasn't the leadership. It wasn't the state leadership. No. It was those gosh darn teachers. That's why teachers' unions hated her, because they were like, holy crap. They just fired all of those teachers, blaming all of the woes of that school, which was one of the poorest schools in the state, by the way. They blamed it all on the teachers. And Deborah Gist was like, hey, if you can't put up, shut up, get out of here. And that was her mantra. She once was quoted as saying that, I don't listen to public outcry. I don't pay attention to things like that. I've got an agenda, and I'm just going right, just mowing everybody down because my way or the highway. And I'm Deborah Gist, and I'll approve this message. Now, to be fair, Deborah Gist didn't fire those teachers herself, but what she did was she went to the school and said, hey, you guys suck. You have 4 choices. You can choose one of these 4 things, one of them including you can turn the school into a charter school. That was an option that she gave them. And they chose to fire all of the teachers and then try to work it out through the union. So her relationship began in Rhode Island very poorly, and it never got better. She did things like rolled out this standardized testing for students, and juniors came out and they were just really upset because they were like, you telling me that if I don't pass this ridiculously difficult test, I'm not going to be able to graduate? So they went to social media. They went on Twitter and they were criticizing Deborah Gist and then got suspended for it because that's how Deborah Gist rolls. But then there were some groups that were like, this NECAP test, NECAP, this test is terrible to be the thing that decides whether or not a student is going to graduate or not. So they got a bunch of adults together. We're talking professionals, lawyers, administrators. They got them all together and said, sit down and take this mock test. They sat down. 60% of them failed the test. These are adults, folks. Adults, professionals, failed that test. Now, Deborah Gist refused to take the test, and in fact, she called what they were doing an outrageous stunt and that it would damage the reputation of the state. So she was criticizing the people who were trying to make an example that even adults were struggling to pass this test. Why were we giving it to students? Because she is pro-standardized testing. And matter of fact, her dissertation was about that exact thing. And also, it was about teacher evaluations. She created these teacher evaluations that had to be done multiple times a year. And if you didn't meet the criteria that was listed in this evaluation, boom, you're gone. So she was anti-teacher. She was pro-standardized test. She was pro-charter school. She was pro-charter management company. And yet Tulsa Public Schools grabbed her up, gave her $1.2 million over a 3-year contract. They even pay for her car and her phone, as if somebody who makes $254,000 a year can't afford to buy their own car. What? But they paid for it anyway. And then turn around and yell to the state, we don't get enough money. And this is all while her teachers make peanuts. She's living high on the hog, and her teachers are scraping by. But anyway, back to Rhode Island. So when she left, 85% of teachers didn't want her contract renewed. 85%. And then fast forward to today, where she has pulled this mask over herself, hidden her past pretty well. She is pro-standardized testing, pro-charter school. She is anti-teacher. She is anti-teachers union, regardless of what she tricked everybody in Oklahoma to thinking, which is strange because the people that are pushing her out are all of those things that she also is. Yet they don't want to admit it. They just want to pass blame onto anybody but themselves for slashing the budgets. So Democrats don't want to know the truth. They don't want to believe the truth. They don't want to think about the devastating impact that she has had on everybody, because she is just a ball of terror. Wherever she goes, controversy ensues. The board should have known that, because it was a pattern of behavior at that moment anyway. People have been criticizing her for her mannerisms, the way that she treats people, the way that she treated teachers. They called teachers crickets back then. They actually had a nickname for it. And whenever people would get together and go to these meetings about whether or not she was going to get a contract, she wouldn't show up because she didn't care. She was all about her. She was all about her agenda because she has a doctorate. She knows more than you do. You see, because she went to school and stuff, and she was named Time's most 100 influential people in the world. That's Deborah Gist for you right there. She is an entitled do-gooder, doesn't care what you think because she knows better than you, because she's smarter than you, and she has a Republican ideology. You know, good luck with that, Democrats. I don't know why you've come to her rescue when she actually didn't do anything to help Tulsans. She didn't do anything to help them. All right, y'all, that's it for me today. Please let me know what you think in the comments section. This is the Liberal Loudmouth. We'll catch you next time. Peace.